the other dual threat quarterbacks you've already faced this season, how big a challenge does Brett Hundley present?
Well, he's right in there with him. You know, he's a big physical guy, and he has enough speed to make plays. Hard to bring down because he is physical, and you know, so he's doing a nice job with what they're doing and pulling it when he needs to pull it and making positive yards. And in the pass game, he's accurate throwing the ball. You know, he does a good job of putting the ball on guys, so he's accurate, and so I think he's very comfortable in their system with what they're doing.
Are they doing the same stuff Noel did at ASU last year, or have they changed it up at all?
A lot of the same stuff. Yeah, a lot of the same stuff.
Does this UCLA offense, you said, resembles Arizona State?
Yes.
And how about Ohio State? Is there any similarities there?
No, not really. They're two different things. You know, UCLA is more of a true spread attack. I didn't see Ohio State as being that. Ohio State, they use their quarterback to run with designed runs like quarterback counter and things where they design actual run plays for him. These guys are a little bit more zone read type stuff where they're going to hand it, and then if you take the giveaway, they're going to pull it. But they're not so much designed runs for the quarterback as Ohio State was.
Jeff, how's Summers Gavin doing, and do you expect him to start to become more himself as time goes on here?
He was pretty sore today, so it's like we've talked about. You know, when you have a injury like that, and you know he tried to come back early, and you know, so there's going to be some soreness and some stiffness, and so we're going to have to do a good job of resting him and make sure, you know, you're kind of caught in between because you need to practice if you're going to play well, but you don't want to irritate his knee injury. So we have to be smart with him and continue to get treatment with him and then take it day to day.
You expect him to play though on Saturday?
I would anticipate that he plays, yes.
Have you made a decision on Kyrie Ford as far as his status for this season?
Well, it's looking more and more like he will probably redshirt. At this point, he hasn't practiced in pads at all, so and his knee is still bothering him. So until the knee's 100%, we're not going to put him in a position to play.
Looking at the Pac-12 stats, I see you're last in the conference in rush defense. Any thoughts on why that is? Is it the option attacks, the running quarterbacks, occasional big plays?
They've had some big plays, yeah. You know, it's that's concerning. Obviously, you know, so quarterbacks hurt us a little bit. You know, we gotta do a better job of tackling in open field. All the spread attacks are really critical when you get in open space that you tackle well. And we've missed a few tackles here in the open field, and even behind the line of scrimmage. That we need to do a better job of wrapping people up.
Jeff, when Zach steps up in the pocket away from the first wave of the rush, do you sense ever that he loses the feel for the guy coming from behind? It looks like he's getting sacked a lot on that sort of second time where he's sort of stepped up away from it the first time, and then the guy finally comes back from behind. And is that, say, that he needs to throw the ball sooner, or do you just ought to have that sort of instinctive feel for that, or how do you evaluate that?
Yeah, and you're right. That's happened numerous times where a lineman will run a guy by him, and he steps up and he starts to get back out of the pocket, and they circle back around and get him. So there has to be some security up in the pocket. Typically, it's happened when he moves up inside of those guys, and then he starts to break. He starts to get out, and then as they've come around, they circle back around, and they're in his blind spot, and they've tackled him a few times like that. You're absolutely right. So it's, it's a thing of getting up in there, keeping your eyes down the field, but you have to be secure inside as well. Get by the first wave and keep your eyes down the field and have confidence in the integrity of the pocket inside. And the times where people have got him with what you're talking about, it's not so much when he's in the pocket, it's when he starts to get out of the pocket that they circle back to get him. So to stay in the pocket after that first wave, if you push people by, to step up in there and have confidence in what's going on inside and keep your eyes down the field. And so he's been a little bit soon to flush, but then there's also times where he stepped up in there and flushed and made big plays. And so it kind of works both ways.
Does he need to, is he holding the ball too long? I mean, you only have so much time that your lineman can keep him off even the second time.
Sometimes, sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes.
So that part of it is.
Or we could get rid of the football.
Mhm.
Yeah. And again, you want him to manage the game properly and not throw the ball into coverage and so on and so forth, So, there's a kind of a fine line there between, you step up in the pocket, you have to, if you're going to, sometimes a sack is better than throwing an interception, and so, but all of that together, yes, I'd say all of it. It's stepping up in there, making sure you're keeping your eyes downfield, getting rid of the football, and then sometimes when the lane's open to run and take off and make some plays there as well.
So with the number of sacks you have, you're obviously making this a big emphasis, I'm sure. There's not one particular aspect of it that you can focus on. It's just.
No, there's really not. It's a little bit of everything. It's, like I've mentioned numerous times, is, there's 6 to 7 guys that are responsible for protection. And then you can take everyone else as far as route running is concerned that, there are such things as coverage sacks too. So everyone is responsible for timing, and, so it doesn't all fall on the offensive line. It doesn't all fall on the quarterback. It's, there are certain things. It's not just one guy. That's the thing about 7 guys in protection. If they're check protecting, one guy could, each guy could take a turn, and there you are. So it's a little bit of everything. Talking about protection, talking about getting rid of the football, making sure that we're giving help where we need help, and then making sure that the routes are precise and we know exactly what's going on with the routes.
You said that Coach Gould makes the decision as far as which tailbacks are rotated in. If you wanted Bigelow in more, wouldn't that come down to him and you talking about it? And does
Absolutely.
he know that you?
Absolutely.
I mean, wouldn't it kind of stop with you as far as, hey, get him X number?
Yeah, it would, or it does. And the thing I have to rely on with that is he's in the meeting room with him every day. What does he know? What can he do? So on and so forth. And so that's why it's kind of up to Coach Gould, and as far as that's concerned. But yes, we've talked about, Bigelow, even though Bigelow was in the game and didn't get a touch last week, we can't go into another game like that. And, there's got to be a number of plays that he runs well and that we can have him in there for. It's just going to be hard to get everybody touches. EC ran really well the other day. CJ ran really well the other day. So you're taking a guy who's a 100-yard rusher who's running really well, and you're setting him down. It's just, you got 3 backs there. But we would like to get him the ball, in a game. I don't know the magic number, but yes, we would like to get him the ball.
Is he making the kind of progress in those meetings, in practice, to figure
Yes.
out all the other parts of the position that you need him to? And where does that
Yes.
stand? I mean, are you seeing?
Yeah,
improvement?
I talked to Coach Gould about it, and he's improving. And you should see, you'll see him more this week.
Jeff, getting back to Zach, he's a pretty skinny guy. How's he holding up to, this mounting of youth?
He's fine, actually. far as health is concerned. He had a little bit of a hamstring toward the end of the last game, but you know, he's a pretty wiry, tough guy, and he doesn't take a lot of real hard shots. You know, you know, he's kind of getting tackled by not so many blindside shots or guys that he doesn't see coming or whatever. So it's not. He hasn't taken, and he's gotten down when he's run the ball. He's got up in there and gotten down, and made positive yards and goes down. So he's fine, health-wise, as far as answering your question.
Getting back to Bigelow for just a second, during the game, are you thinking, geez, we haven't gotten him the ball at all, or what we're doing is working pretty well, so you're not thinking about that? I mean, how's that mind stuff work with you in terms of being aware of whether he's carried the ball a couple of times or not at all, or?
Well, again, depending on what his name's on certain plays, and he goes in for plays, and he does things like that, if EC's going good and running really well, and CJ, it has been, like I said, up to coach to get him in for the things, because it's not so much that's play, it's what's coming to play after, of substituting guys in and out all the time. And if you're trying to go a little bit with some tempo, we have to be alert for that. But he will play more. We've talked about that we need to give him the ball, get him some touches in the game. Then EC's touches go down, then CJ's touches go down, and so it's, but he'll get the ball more this week.
Is the deal that he just gives you a slightly different dimension? As good as those two other guys are, he's different than they are?
He is. Yeah, he's got more speed than they have. But as far as reading inside run plays and holes and knowing your keys and when to cut back and when to do those type of things, those guys are two seniors who do that really, really well. Not that he can't do that, but those guys do that really well. EC made a couple of really nice runs. A big run for a touchdown was a zone play where he cut back nice and hit it and creased it and hit it hard, and so everybody talks about Bigelow, and yeah, Bigelow had two great plays against Ohio State, perimeter plays that went, and that was great, but EC's playing pretty well too, and so is CJ. So it's just hard to get all three backs in a flow and in a rhythm. But, we did talk about this week that Bigelow does need to touch the ball in a game. I don't know the exact number, but we need to get him in there and let him get going.
Okay, Dan?
One more.
This last weekend, West Virginia and Baylor played a game in which there were 133 points scored. Georgia and Tennessee had 90-something. Is it just the proliferation of spread offenses, or what's behind this? It seems like it's a very offensively driven game, more so than it was even 5-6 years ago.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't see those games. Those scores are outrageous. They really are. And those attacks like that, those spread attacks are, obviously, scoring some points. And so I saw those scores too. I thought it had to be overtime or something like that, because that's typically when you see those type of scores, or triple overtime. But, that's a lot of offense. Whatever the West Virginia, Geno Smith's his name?
Yeah.
Threw for 8 touchdown passes.
He had more touchdowns than incompletions.
Yeah, that's pretty wild. That's pretty wild. That's awesome, and so obviously he's playing really, really well and doing a lot of good things.
Seems that run blocking, at least at times, has been better, maybe more consistent. I don't know, maybe is the word, than pass protection. Is there anything that you've seen that may be a reason that's so?
No, well, I mean we're running the ball effectively at times, and you know, we've just, like I said, with the pass protection thing, you know, as I watch tape, you know, I know we have too many sacks. I know that, okay? But it's not just one person, and that's the thing about it. You know, when you say the offensive line, you know, what does that mean? It means, okay, so the right guard gets beat once, and the tight end gets beat once, and the running back gets beat once, and you know, that type of thing. You know, it's not, we're playing some pretty good fronts and some guys where we need to make sure that we're helping a little bit more inside with them, because at times we have very good pass protection too, you know. So, but in the run game, the guys are blocking hard for the run game, and they're competing hard and playing hard in the pass game. You know, we've gotten matched up a couple times where we've gotten beat one-on-one, and you know, in certain areas. So it's, and the offensive line's working really hard with it. They're working every week to make sure that we improve it. Again, a lot of it, or some of it, comes down to third and extra longs. You know, I mean, where you really can't get the ball out of your hands. If you get the ball out of your hands, you know, you're not going to get the distance for the first down. And I think that more than anything is the key of being in too many third and longs. 8 third and 10 or more in a game is too much, way too much. You know, you go in.
As many as 10 also. In I think first or third, I guess to USC or
10 plus.
yeah.
Well, that's too many. You can't live in those. You know, I mean, that puts a lot of pressure on you if you're going to try to throw the ball down the field and get it down there, and you know, without having only 3-man routes coming, you know, it's makes it very difficult. So I think some of the things to help our offensive line, or I don't even want to say our offensive line, to help our pass protection is to stay in manageable situations. I don't want to put it all on the offensive line, because protection comes down to a lot of things.
You're last in the conference in time of possession. Is that significant, and is that speak poorly of the no-huddle approach, or what's the reason for that?
No, well, that just kind of came about this week. I think before this week we were somewhere in the middle of the pack, but they obviously had the ball a long time the other day, and we had some 3 and outs, and when you're having 3 and outs and they're not, then they're going to have the ball longer. And God, that doesn't have anything to do with really the no huddle approach, because we're using most of the clock anyway in the no huddle thing. It comes to making first downs and moving the ball and sustaining drives. That's how you have time of possession. If I'm not mistaken, at Ohio State we had a lot more than they had, right? So it just comes down to making first downs and moving the ball, and you know, us converting, putting drives together, and the defense getting off the field. You know, that's how the no huddle really has nothing. We're not running a play in 15 seconds. You know, we're using most of the play clock to run plays. So sometimes there are certain plays that we run really fast, but for the majority of the plays, you know, we're not running out of time, but we're also not running the ball, you know, when it's at 25 seconds.
Jeff, what's a reasonable first down gain, or I guess maybe better than that?
4 yards is efficient. 3.5 yards.
Mm-hmm.
3.5 to 4 yards is what you're looking for.
You guys have had a lot of plays the last 2 games, and I'm sure you're aware of this, that on first down you had 1 yard or less.
Right.
And that you're talking about those third and longs, that's what sets those up, obviously.
Right.
What percentage of the time can you be satisfied with a first down play that doesn't get you anything?
Not very often. You know, I mean, you want to make sure that you're having positive yards. 3.5, 4 yards, you know, on first down, you know, is what you're looking to get. And you know, if you're, especially negative plays or 1 yard gain, but there are going to be times where you have a 1 yard gain, but you have to be patient. That's why I say when you have to be patient with the run, you have to be able to run it again, and you know, hopefully get into 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5 situations, and instead of 3rd and longs. Well, they're disappointed, obviously. I mean, we've been in every fourth quarter of the game, we've been either ahead or within one score of winning a game. And so there have been very emotional, hard-fought football games. No one wants to be at this. I mean, I know that, the outside is disenchanted with 1-4. There's no one more disenchanted and more disappointed than the people who are working so hard and putting hours and hours and hours in every day here. So to say that the team is happy, the team's not happy, no. But they had a very good practice today. We talked today about taking control and attacking this thing and not feeling sorry for ourselves, because, that's not going to get anybody anywhere. And so, of course, we're disappointed. And, because we work very hard at it. Coaches, players, everyone is, there's not a lot of happiness or joy around. And it's been, but we got to put that behind us and focus on 1 week. We can't let last week or the week before keep us with a hangover for this week. And it's difficult because you work way too hard and we're playing tough, close games and not coming out with any satisfaction from it. I mean, we could say, oh, this was good or that was good, but at the end of the day, it's not a win. And so it's miserable, I'm miserable. Can't stand it. There's nothing worse right now. But I'm not going to sit in my office and cry about it or sit around and mope about it. We got a job to do, and the players have to understand the same thing. And so, support from outside as well for this team, is desperately needed. And I would really hope that the fans come out and support the team and support those players who are working so hard and playing so hard, to get over the top. And so no one's happy with where we are.